all the good Aussie talent? You know, the ones that define a generation? Well, it's here. It's just buried under tall poppy syndrome and a sea of gatekeepers. In Australia, we don't have a talent problem, we have a culture problem. One that makes us shrink and self-censor so we run with the pack. Well, I'm done with that, and maybe you are too. So let's talk about it. We are a nation that loves art, and I could name a laundry list of people who have made it on the world stage, from Kylie Minogue and Hugh Jackman to Tame Impala, CJ Henry, the Zimmerman sisters, and of course the founders of Canva. I could go on all day, but you get the point. Australia is a goldmine of talent. But when you look at the next wave of talent, it's looking pretty grim. Government data from the sectorial analysis shows us that there's over 100,000 creative businesses in this country with over 300,000 employed by them, and we are creating $63.7 billion, which equates to 2.5% of the Australian GDP, and that's down from the last decade where we were at 3.1%. And this shows that we're big on delivering value, but shrinking in influence, and I'm going to show you why. We have ushered in a culture of conformity, and whilst the arts have always leaned left, the industry is now co-opted by progressive ideology that is causing them to eat themselves alive. Much like Pokemon, you gotta catch them all, from LGBT and trans to the acknowledgement of country and pronouns, and of course climate change. You need to perform your virtue first before you can show your art. It has all become performative pomp and ceremony that would rival the court of King Louis XVI at the height of his indulgence era. And then we have the gatekeeping and self-censorship. Aussies are notorious for rarely sending the ladder back down. There's a huge lack of collaboration in the industry. It's a very fragmented ecosystem where insular networks dominate. Research has shown that there are entrenched cliques, and without deliberate mentorship, it is harder for outsider or younger voices to break in. There's a real mean girl energy to it, and whilst most people admit to that in private, publicly they go along with it because that's what the system rewards. And then you have the funding issue. You don't get grants for good work, you get grants for pushing ideological talking points. In Victoria, for example, most grants flow from a Labor government that's been in power for almost 20 years. If you don't fit the mold, you don't get funded, and that's telling artists that you need to conform, and that's not art, that's propaganda. And then of course we have economic barriers, with a lot of the small businesses who support young talent going under because of COVID and a cost of living crisis. And on top of all that, social media has forced artists to become content creators where they have to be activists and marketers, and it's exhausting. And lastly, tall poppy syndrome. If you happen to survive all of that, you will then be punished by your success. This is a cultural reflex that punishes ambition. Australian tall poppy syndrome equates success with the betrayal of authenticity. This is why a lot of our best talent moves overseas. We know we have world-class talent here in Australia, but our culture is shrinking it and suffocating it. Art needs to ask questions and provoke more discussions and invite more people to the table. So I'd love to see more of us black sheeps refusing to play along, and instead of tearing each other apart, let's send that ladder back down. We need to encourage the next wave of talent and not punish them into submission and conformity. We can disagree with each other's views, but censorship will only rob us of great art.